Hello all and welcome to Counting Techniques, which is chapter 10 of the Sadler book. We'll be looking today at permutations. We're going to be making arrangements today. Permutations help show how many ways people or objects can be arranged in any order. So with an example here, you might have Steve, Gerald, Tim and Kev, and they can be seated next to each other in many different ways, right? They can be, Steve, then Gerald, then Tim, then Kev, or you can have it as Steve, Gerald, Kev and then Tim, or you can have Gerald, Tim, Kev and Steve. The list continues on. What we want to be able to do by the end of all this is to be able to calculate exactly how many ways they can be rearranged. Now, we're going to look at this problem by looking at these four letters and looking at something called the multiplication principle. So we're going to use counting techniques to help us solve this problem. So what we have to start off with is how many ways can the letters step be arranged. Okay. Now once you use up a letter, it's gone, right, for good. It's like the replacement one in the probability. So if you use an S here, then you've only got T, E and P to deal with. If you choose T, then you'll have E left and then P, so you have the word step. Now if you continue this process for every single letter and take into account every single arrangement, then you have a full list of outcomes, which is shown here. And these are all the possible words we can see. So we've got step, stippy, setp, sept. As you can see, some of these words are not words, but they're words in inverted commas. So we add up all this, and we find there's 24 ways of this occurring, okay? Now, so we've determined that the number of ways we can rearrange a letter step is 24 times. Okay? Now, that was really, to actually draw that out would be an absolute pain, and we all know that drawing a tree diagram like that, that's 4 events, can be a little tedious. So in counting techniques, we're all about trying to find shortcuts. So do we want to draw a tree diagram out each time? The answer is no, unless you are that way inclined. So today we're going to use the counting technique of the multiplication principle. Okay, so we can find out exactly how many ways by doing a more simple approach, which is considering how many options we have. We start off, we want to form this word S-T-E-P. How many possibilities do we have of doing choosing that first letter? We have 4, and we have S-T-E-P. Now, the step on from that, we can see that there's only 3 arrangements that can happen after that. Each of them have 3. Therefore, the next becomes 3. After that, we can see it branching into 2 steps. So we've got 1 or 2 letters. So that means the next arrangement is 2, and after that we just have 1. So, how do we figure out the number of ways? Well, using the multiplication principle, we can just times these together instead. So instead of drawing a tree diagram, we can straight away go, there's 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 24 ways. So we're going to use the multiplication principle to help us with our next set of examples.